So this is an idea to extend a fan in this case, or another light when you don't have that outlet. So initially this lanai, we only have this one light, and it was a really low hanging fan because it wasn't flush mount. So I took these two fans out of old bedrooms that were old and needed to be replaced. These are probably from the 80s, and decided to reuse them outside because maybe we get a couple more years out of them. They're not outdoor rated, but it's not raining in here, and if the blades sag or whatever, I don't have to spend the $80-100 to get new ones right now. So, but what I did want to do is extend and add another one, because just the fan here, even a 52-inch fan, isn't enough to actually feel anything over there. So this is about extending it. So I'll turn them on. I got them switched on now, and this conduit is just surface mount conduit that you can get at Home Depot. What I did is simply notch it into the fan shroud. That whole shroud comes down. If you've ever installed a ceiling hugger fan, you know. But what I did differently was there's typically clips that are on the surface mount, and you clip them and you screw them on. Well, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to use the existing studs, and I wanted to hide them. So by running it all the way there, I measured where the studs were and set my distance, and then I obviously just wired it up. There's no outlet over there. The wire, all the power comes from here and is extended to this final fan. For here, I wanted to find the studs. You can see some of the ceiling. You can easily see that stud, and maybe even this one. But a lot of them are hidden. They're not easy. So from an earlier video, I showed that you can find studs with a magnet on a telescoping rod. You know, the magnet pickup tool you can get for 99 cents. Put that, and you'll follow it, and you'll get the heads of the screws as they pick up. In some cases, you can't use a stud finder because the ceiling is so variegated in terms of maybe there's some popcorn up there. You can't do that. So I use that, and I use masking tape. And if I find a screw, I stick a piece of masking tape. And eventually, you get a whole grid. And it's not too hard once you figure out the spacing. You generally know if you're 16 or 24 spacing, you'll just start marching forward. And that's how I found this. So I didn't have to put in drywall anchors. I could only put in studs, actual screws into wood. So a wire comes out of the ceiling here from the switch. This is actually a 4-way switch, so this light is controlled. Both of these are controlled by 3 different switches. So it's called, in this case, a 4-way. Extend that out to that conduit, surface mount bracket. That's what this ceiling hugger does. And run that conduit, and you see I just notched it into the housing as well. It's difficult to make that cut exactly ahead of time. So I mocked up the whole ceiling fan without the blades on, pushed up the housing, got the orientation for the measurements, because you have to have it correct.